Hello, everyone. Now is the time to join our webinars that we are going to host today. So today we're going to talk about how you can shorten your sales cycle and increase your hit rate with GetAccept as a sales enablement and e-signing tool combined with SuperOffice CRM. So we think it's time to actually change how deals are done, and today we're going to show you how. So my name is Wilma. I'm the partnership manager of GetAccept. I've joined this journey for more than 2 years now, and my role is quite simple actually. It's to make sure that our common customers have a true win-win experience with GetAccept and SuperOffice together. And with me today, I'm happy to say that I have my friend and almost colleague, Victor, with me, but we're not quite colleagues, right? Victor, introduce yourself.
No, thank you. So Victor is my name. I work at a company called iCentrum, and who we are? Well, we're a preferred partner to SuperOffice and the creators of the integration between the two platforms. We're founded by former SuperOffice employees, and our core competence historically, it's been working as CRM consultants alongside SuperOffice on complicated technical projects. This highlighting our deep understanding of SuperOffice and then knowledge that we then can translate into the integrations that we built. So the expectation of today's webcast, it's not to give a detailed demo of all the functionality in the integration, but to more paint a picture of today's landscape and the challenges that we all face, which lay the foundation to why working with e-signing integrated with SuperOffice will be a value add for your organization. Naturally, we'll also walk you through the product and show you how to work with it on a day-to-day basis.
That sounds amazing, Victor. So you are a true expert on both GetAccept integration, also SuperOffice.
I would like to think so. I would like to think so, yes.
Great to have you with us today. So the agenda is, as Victor already told us, is we're going to talk a little bit actually first about challenges we see today meeting customers. We're also going to talk about some trends that are ready to adapt in your business. Also how you can use tools at your disposal. Of course, we're also going to name drop some of our successful customers, how they use these tools combined. And then we're going to finish up with some Q&A. That sounds good, doesn't it, Victor?
Yep, it definitely does.
Beautiful. So starting with challenges today, digitalizing your process, what stands in your way today? And we have the first common obstacles we see is it's actually maintaining efficiency. And Victor, I know that you have really interesting thoughts about this. Shoot.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, as we come from a consultancy background, we have a lot of experience working with IT projects and the issues that come with implementing these. And what we often see is that when you are implementing new systems, there's always an overhanging fear of reduced efficiency and productivity while this is being done. Naturally, a dip in a budget reflects poorly on management, and this often leads to resistance to change a system because you're comfortable with what you have today.
Interesting, yeah. So, and I would also say actually a common issue for the customers we engage with is that they have this poorly executed IT project. So I would say it leaves them with a bad experience, and that also reflects future decisions. So bear in mind here, there's a huge difference for what kind of tool to implement. And of course, also the scope of these projects. So if we compare, for example, implementing a full ERP system to an app such as an e-signing tool at GetAccept, of course there is a difference. So please bear that in mind when making future decisions about new IT projects. This wasn't what we planned.
This is the joys of working from home in the COVID-19 times.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all had a good laugh about that. So number 2, the weak situational analysis.
Such as choosing to work outdoors when recording a webcast.
Yeah, exactly, because I have family inside, so didn't really have the opportunity to sit inside. Okay, but let's try to stay to the focus here at the webinar. What we mean here, I would say it's actually more common and then what you think, that companies we meet, they haven't done their homework. That is to say that they have quite poor mapped out what are their needs today. Do we have any challenges that we face? So especially when it comes to digitalization and the possibilities that comes with it. So of course, it leads to that you as a customer becomes much more insecure. And it goes without saying that for yeah, it goes without saying that us as SaaS providers, and we want to help you, but it's quite tricky when you don't really know what your stand is today. So what we do recommend is that you ask yourself, what challenges are we facing? Do we face any? And if we do, what resources can we allocate to solve this problem? Victor, does it make sense to you, or what's your perspective here?
No, I agree completely. And on the flip side of that coin, there is the issue of what will the customer actually say as well, because obviously from an organizational standpoint with you, you have your set of issues, but then there's also what the customer will say.
Exactly.
So,
and then we have, yeah, number 3, you go.
Yeah, no, and there's always a common misconception that change leads to longer and more difficult sales cycles, especially when you're forcing the customer to change their habits and how they do their work today, what they're comfortable with. And this is something that we very often hear in traditional industries. And let's take the construction industry as an example, where there's a very common mantra of things have always been done this way. And they do have a point to all of this. It's during a transaction, trust is a major part of the equation. Removing the opportunity to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, and close the deal, it fuels this underlying fear that makes it harder for the customer to make a purchasing decision. And this is an issue that's very real with digitalization today.
Exactly, I totally agree with you. So this is really where you can make a statement and think about how would you like to be experienced by your customers. Now you really can stand out in the crowd, and you can show how modern and innovative, and most importantly, how customer-oriented you truly are. So, for example, simplify for the customer by adapting to a more modern way of working. And I would like to, if you would like ask yourself, do the customer prefer to print and sign and scan and then send, or would they just prefer maybe something else? Is that even possible to increase the trust by making it easy for the customer? And would it maybe also enhance the relationship further by simplifying the customer experience by using this kind of digital tools? Because we know many people are afraid of this, the loss of the relationship and the deepen by it. So ask yourself, could it maybe be the opposite?
That is correct.
That is correct. Okay, number 4. This is a personal favorite. So, and we also, when you're going into a big department store, and of course we have to use the Swedish effect here, the IKEA effect. So we decided on to take IKEA as an example. So your only goal is to go there and buy a bookshelf for maybe your living room, for example. And as you approach the cashier, you became amazed of all the other utterly peculiar items you have gathered along the way.
Yeah, and if I may stop you here, I mean, last time I actually visited you at home, this became very, very obvious because there was a few strange items in your household that actually mirrored the point you're making.
Yeah, I know, and I know you wanted me to bring them, so I have them here for you, Victor, as a surprise. So, okay, this is an example of myself. I found this very cute and very weird, as you all can see. It's like looking like a snake. It's an oven mitt. It's great. And then also I have this cute Peter the purpose here. I want to keep him so badly, but my boyfriend isn't too keen about that. So I decided on to give it to my friend's newborn child. So that is to say, IKEA really amazed me in every single time because it opens my eyes to the possibilities I never knew existed, and also my boyfriend Richard's, of course. So to many of you out there, we know that maybe you don't realize how many possibilities you have with the new digital tool out there. So that's what we're trying to do today, trying to amaze you what we actually could do, like the IKEA effect. Okay, number 2 then. Moving on from challenges we see to modern trends and their possibilities. And the customer is already digital, Victor, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we've taken massive steps forward in how we as customers actually interact with those businesses and transactions that we make on a personal level. And in private, people's digitalization is significantly further along than we are professionally. I mean, we've grown accustomed to certain channels of communication, whether it be through chat, through video calls, or even live streaming events today. This is something that we often do, and even signing our contracts with some form of digital ID is very commonplace today. I know in Scandinavia, you can't do anything without using a digital bank ID to sign anything. And this in turn, it creates an expectation from the customer and they will often judge how modern you are based on how smooth the sales cycle is. I mean, if you're able to deliver information and processes that the customer can easily process and engage with, you're setting yourself above the curve and ahead of your competition.
I can only agree. Number 2 here, number of decision makers has increased to 7. So we have the international research and advisory firm Gartner. They are regularly doing comeback studies regarding how many decision makers are involved in a normal B2B sales cycle. So for just a couple of years ago, I learned that the number was 5.4 in average. And now actually, just once again, only a couple of years later, now it has increased to almost 7, and actually 6.8 to be exact. So that makes it even trickier to engage in an effective way with all the stakeholders. It also becomes more challenging to help the champion to push the sale, of course, internally as well. So the good part here is that there are tools available to help us with this. My favorite example is using a video in your sales process. And we actually have seen that studies have shown that the same message communicates by video compared when you read it in text. You remember 95% of the content from the video compared to 10% of what you read.
Yeah. And it's also important to remember that, you know, this, as you were saying, requires tools that allow you to easier engage with every member of this decision-making chain. And ultimately, you might not be conversing with the ultimate end decision maker, but having tools that support and getting in touch with those is becoming more and more important as well.
Of course.
Yeah,
and number 3.
Yeah, and this is something that, you know, we see more and more as well on from an organizational standpoint internally, you know, for us that actually work with the sales. All of our colleagues, I mean, they're customers outside of work, you know, and their digital routines and behavior privately will to some extent affect their expectations of you as an employer. So in order to give them the best opportunities to work effectively, it is important to also offer the tools that meet these expectations. I mean, the modern sales rep today is basically a developer or a SaaS nerd. You know, they often expect the latest tech stack as they are aware of what the tools are there, and they will put this as an expectation upon you. I mean, GetAccept, you hired 70 sales reps in the last year.
Yeah, exactly. We hired a lot of sales reps, and actually we often get asked what kind of tech stack we actually can provide them with, and that is for them to make sure that they can do the best possible results, of course. So it's a tool as a sales rep to have the best kind of tech stack as well.
Indeed, and that in and of itself leads to this availability of information. You know, as the sales reps know what tools are out there, your customers will also know what other tools are out there. You're never the only one that's actually competing for them. So access to information leads to the customer being more aware of their options. You know, and this begs the question: how do you wish to be recognized and segmented in the market that you're actually offering your products? How are you going to stand out? And how do you want your potential customer experience to be? So through the use of digital tools that match your customer expectations, you can propel yourself ahead of your competition. And now that more and more transactions are being completed without the face-to-face interaction, providing a professional online impression significantly improves your ability to be remembered by your customer and ultimately to be the one that they choose to buy from.
Absolutely. And that led us to number 3, some success cases. And we're going to have 2 customer cases, actually. And it doesn't matter which industry you are in. The solutions we provide, they are relevant across all verticals, company sizes, or of course, wherever in the world you are and you operate. And we would also say actually how complex your business is not depending either. So we're going to show you 2 examples of this now. And the first one out is Nordic Hotel and Resort, who is a part of Nordic Choice Hotels. And they are a major player in hospitality in Northern Europe. So hopefully the video now will work.
My name is Mikael Österlund and I'm working as VP Commercial Performance for Nordic Hotels and Resorts.
My name is Ricardo Midani. I'm the Commercial Director at Stenungsbaden. My main focus is sales, marketing and branding.
So before we started to work with GetAccept, we worked in an old-fashioned way. We printed out documents, proposals, offers, signed it, scanned it. Not a modern way of doing it, and was also very time-consuming and didn't look that professional. Why we started to look for an e-signing vendor was because we wanted to increase efficiency. We wanted to sign more deals faster. It's also very important for the staff to feel that they work in a modern company that have automated processes, as well as it's important and looks professional to the customers. The rollout with GetAccept was very easy. I actually only provided Adam with the contact details out to the hotels, and after that he followed up with presentation, training and everything. Maybe 25 to 27 use GetAccept today. It was very important that GetAccept could integrate with our sales support system, SuperOffice. I would say that that was a crucial thing for us to make that decision.
My first impression with using GetAccept is that it's digital and it's very professional. Now we can shorten the sales cycle. I would say almost 50%, because now when we send the e-signing, it's so much easier for the customer to just accept it and then to scan and send it back, and so it's very good. I use it very much for like the video. Somewhere along the line they get like an emotion feeling in this video, so it's easier for them to see this film and after that like sign a contract. So it's very good for us.
GetAccept has helped us in many ways, but I would say the top 3 things would be time efficiency, of course, but also looking professional to the customers, getting in the brand experience right away, and to close deals much faster than we did before.
A 100%. So I mean, this is a very traditional customer in the sense that their sales process is quite linear. You know, they create an offer that they want the customer to sign, and this they do through SuperOffice, where they actually store the initial document. And I mean, the results that they've had are quite fantastic, isn't it, Wilma?
Yes, it is for sure. They have actually shortened their sales cycles with 50% actually, using GetAccept and SuperOffice combined. So that is just amazing results, we have to say.
Yeah.
And,
so on the other end of on the other end of the spectrum, we have a company called Allbox, which is a huge success case that we developed together a year ago.
Exactly, and it's about simplify the quote building process with all the data in one place. And here we can see the logo, and just some short intro to Allbox for those of you who don't know them since before. They are within the SaaS and telecom industry. They provide with a tracking tool, digital driving logs, example is for businesses, and they have more or less 450 employees around in Europe. And maybe you can tell us a little about the challenges here, Victor.
Yeah, absolutely. So a company of this size naturally doesn't just have one system where they're working in. Because of the amount of data that needs to be stored and then upkept, they had all their data spread out, and between the CRM system, their ERP system, and others as well. And they had a very long time it took a very long time for them to create the offer documents with the initial process that they had. The quote information had to be input in several places, every time manually, and that's naturally made it difficult for them.
Exactly. And if we should talk a little bit about the solution then.
Yeah, so this is where where we stepped in as CRM consultants, where we were able to look at the process as a whole and develop and customize a quote module within SuperOffice that allowed Allbox to put a lot of these processes into one single process, and thereby streamline the entire cycle. So if we look at, so they are on the other end of the complexity spectrum, if you will, and as you can see here, this is how we mapped out their process. And to complete a sale, several different documents needed to be completed, which took obviously a significant amount of time. And this portion of the presentation, it serves more to inspire around the possibilities that exist when streamlining the whole sales cycle and to save time on redundant routines. I'll show you quickly how we map the processes, and through the modular system that is SuperOffice, we were able to tie these 3 processes into one. So here you see the overview. Before we began with GetAccept, they required 3 different document templates: one for the offer, one for the contract, and one for the order. We refined the process, and through one web panel in SuperOffice, basically simplified how this all worked. So step 1 was to create the offer, and we're all familiar with the dance that we do here with a customer, where and the issues that arise when the final offer has evolved from the initial one, the different versions that need to be created, and how to address this. Once the offer was accepted, they needed to create a separate contract, which was then to be signed. And once this was done, the information needed to be input into their ERP system to generate the order and then send it off to delivery. So through a custom web panel, we actually created that is built on standard lists in SuperOffice. We created a simple dynamic process where they can easily create offers based on their product lists to be sent for approval signing from SuperOffice with GetAccept. And once that offer was accepted and returned to SuperOffice, the system automatically triggers an order to be created in the ERP system. So the missing link in all of this was the ability to use GetAccept and the statuses that come with it in order to create triggers in SuperOffice. So now Allbox just need to input their information in one place, and then this is distributed to the right systems and templates at the right time during the sales process, saving each of their 200 sales reps a significant amount of time.
That is just wonderful, and I would say it's amazing for you guys out there having data on different in different systems, and you want to integrate this. Maybe you're wondering if it's even possible. Now we know it is, but of course we need some extra hours there to fix this kind of smooth process. But I know that Allbox is really happy with what you've done for them, so I'm really impressed. So now number 4, over to you, Victor.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah, perfect. So a lot of you are most likely wondering, how does it actually work in practice? What is the tool that I'm going to be using, and how does it work from a SuperOffice perspective? So we're going to look a little bit more now, a little bit more closely at the integration itself and how you as a user would work with this on a day-to-day basis. We believe that a fully functional two-way integration means that you never need to leave SuperOffice in order to get access to the full spectrum of GetAccept's features. And this is where the trends and challenges we previously discussed, they come into play, and why an integrated solution becomes such an value add for your organization. By keeping all of the processes inside of SuperOffice, the ramp-up period to fully using the tool is significantly shortened, thereby minimizing these effects that new IT projects have on efficiency and productivity. I can also mention in this stage that it doesn't matter if you're in SuperOffice on an on-premise or an online installation. This is going to work in exactly the same way. Our thought process behind all of this is, all your documents are already in SuperOffice. Why should we then go in to change how you already work today? So we built 2 web panels in SuperOffice, and as Wilma has shown you here, this is where we start off with sales. So to initiate the send out of the document that's already created in SuperOffice, it's very, very simple. All the information about the sale is already stored on the sales card. So that information is automatically populated into the integration. If we have more decision makers involved, we can easily search for other contacts within SuperOffice and add them to this particular send out. We also have the ability to assign roles, don't we, Wilma?
Yeah, exactly. So you can assign different roles, and it's also possible actually to have, for example, an internal approver before sending out for sign to the customer. And of course, you can also decide in which order you want them to sign as well.
Yep, and we actually use this quite a lot. We have another integration partner in Bisnode who have quite a complicated quote structure, and every time we want to send a quote to one of our customers, it goes through Bisnode for approval before the customer actually receives the contract. So it's a layer of security that we can add to ensure that our entire sales cycle is more efficient. The final thing that we generally like to point out and that we set up in the start of this send out is the ability to even send this document by text. And I know GetAccept have some very interesting statistics on how this actually affects the sales cycle and the time it takes to reach decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Sending the quote by an SMS is quite uncommon actually, that you get a text message directly to your phone. So we have seen that 80% they open it up the first time actually when we send it through to their SMS to their phone, of course, right in their pocket, and actually the whole amount of 60% actually sign it also that way.
Yep. So that's this is all that we really need to do to get going. In the next step, this is where we choose the document that is going to be sent to the customer for signature. And as we're working out of SuperOffice, all SuperOffice generated documents that are connected to this particular sale will be able to be picked up from here. And we're going to look at that in the next step. But before we look at that, I'd like to raise the fact that we can even use GetAccept templates at this point. And Wilma, what's so special about that?
Yeah, exactly. We provide you with dynamic proposal templates. So where you can collect the information from the customer before signing. And to give an example, if you need maybe bank details or billing info, we also have we support editable templates. So when you and the customers, maybe you discuss how many licenses you need and you have a little bit chat back and forth, and you need to change that directly into your proposal. That is something you can do if you decide to use the GetAccept templates, or maybe actually combine them with the SuperOffice templates. But that's another webinar.
Indeed, it is. But moving forward, the integration will list all the documents that are connected to this particular sale. And from here, it's up to you to determine which is the main document that's going to be signed, and then which documents are going to be added as attachments. And we even give you the option to force the recipient to open the attachment before they have the ability to actually sign the contract. And that's one more step before we're done. And in this step, this is where we make the whole send out a little bit more personal. This is where we have the opportunity to stand out from the crowd. Reminders are a very important part of all of this. So naturally, in order to help us stay on top of what is happening with the deals that are live, putting a reminder in our SuperOffice calendar is generally to be recommended to keep ourselves on top of things. But we also have the ability to add smart reminders, which are set up in GetAccept. And basically what that means is it's an automated reminder that the system sends out every time the customer hasn't done something. For example, not opened the document within 3 days, or it's about to expire within 5 days, so the customer gets a reminder. On top of that, we also have the ability to use the video function. And that's something that's very effective, isn't it, Wilma?
Yes, exactly. We talked about it before. It's a personal favorite of mine. And of course, you should add a video. So as we talked about, it's just to actually record it. And I would recommend to take a chance to summarize the key benefits for the customer, so they get reminded about that, and maybe also answer a question or two that they had. And I also always do like this, because we have a chat coming up like this. When you open up the document, you will see it just in a few minutes. So I truly encourage the customer to communicate in the chat, because it's also connected to the document. So that is one thing. And the other thing is that you can be really personal about, and we strongly recommend to write something personal in the email that you see here in the picture here.
Yep. And that is literally everything that we need to do in order to get this document to the customer for signing and for tracking. So before we send it away, we get a summary within SuperOffice where we're able to preview the document that we're about to send out. We get a preview of the email text message that the customer is going to be receiving. And of course, we have a summary of the features that are activated and the recipients that are going to be receiving it, just to ensure that everything is done correctly. So once we hit send, then GetAccept takes over.
Exactly. So this is how it looks like when the receiver gets your proposal. So this is the email, and they, of course, push view document, and then this happens. So this is where you see the chat on your right-hand side. You can see the branding and the background, really nice picture and everything. So you can really show up or strengthen your brand by using this kind of visual possibilities we see here. So this is where you use the chat, and you have the full document down here. And what is really nice is that you, as a sender, you will get notifications through the GetAccept app, saying if someone has opened it, if they have reviewed the full document, and also if they have commented. And that's when you use the chat very efficiently to increase the communication and the feeling of the relationship with the customer, and of course also to shorten the sales cycle. Where the customer is, we want to be there, and we're going to give them the absolute best possible help right in a very smooth way. We're not going to talk that much about GetAccept standalone today, but of course we have a standalone version as well. And this is where you can see all the different documents that you have sent out, what happened with them. That is to say, have they opened up the document? Have they reviewed the full document? Have all the receivers open it up and read it through? You can also see that of some of them, we have the smart reminders on that Victor was talking about. And we can also see the latest activity. So we can see if they have printed it, if they have saved it, and also if it passes forward. So we can identify new stakeholders as well.
Yeah, and once the document is signed, we have on the company card a GetAccept tab as well, where you have a history of all the documents that have been sent from the company and what status they have. So from here, you have easy access to the standalone platform by actually clicking on the document to get deeper engagement data. But more importantly, you have historically an aggregate of all the documents that have been sent for signature or tracking for a particular company with the help of GetAccept. So on top of that, we even have the ability to do what we call a quick send, and that's a simplified version of the process that we just went through. With fewer clicks, but it generates the same results. So from the panel on the company card, we then have the ability to send documents that are stored as activities on the company card. And the whole idea behind this is to gain control of all the things that you send to your customer. Things that often lie as attachments, you can now instead send with the help of GetAccept to gain tracking and control. You know, it could be as simple things as a product brochure, updated terms and conditions, perhaps a presentation before a meeting or a meeting summary afterwards. So on the right here, you can see you can press send, and once you click on that, you get greeted by this simple pop-up where really all you have to do is search for within SuperOffice who is going to receive it, make a few small adjustments, for example, if you want to send it by text and if there's going to be reminders, and then you hit send. This basically initiates the exact same process that we've gone through before, just in a very simple manner. A lot of the time, you don't even need to set this to signature. You know, you can set it to only view or remove the signature option, making it very easy for the customer to receive something that's not very, you know, salesy, if you will.
And you as a sender get all the tracking information we talked about before as well. So that really gives you being on point with the customer in all dialogues that you have. So this is my favorite actually. You can send just everything and you know exactly what the receiver does with the document. It's great.
Exactly. That's the whole idea of working with GetAccept as a sales enablement tool, because it's not just there for you to collect a signature at the end of the process. I mean, if you are selling, you know, 3 different products, you send a proposal beforehand, you can now track which pages the customer is looking at more. Okay, they're looking at product A for 3 minutes and not B or C. Well, then you can guide your eventual meeting in that direction because you already know their interests. So the idea is to use it at all stages of the sales process, but more importantly, to work out of one system, which is SuperOffice, and use all the tools at your disposal through GetAccept from there.
Exactly. Thank you, Victor. I'm going to wrap it up. Just mention actually that you can use this also for all kinds of agreements, but the most common except of the sales documents, I would say, is employment agreements. This is just unfortunately in Swedish, but it's an example. And what normally the most popular features here, of course, you can engage with a video, you can show your colleagues, for example, and also when sending out preparing documents before interviews, you can actually see what the candidates are they interested or not. Have they opened up the documents? And you can also, of course, chat with them. So we have huge companies like Choice and Tele2 using this for all the employment agreements, actually. And now we have finalized everything. It's just summary left. I hope you had a good time with us today. So what we hope that you will take with you today is the possibilities you have to create a modern brand experience. Of course, face the reality of today. Make sure that you ask yourself, where are we? Where do we want to be? Do we have to do any changes? Do we have any resources for that? How are we going to do it? So it's easier for us as providers to help you go there and of course, make success together. And we want you to be even more customer-oriented than you already are. You can really improve your customer's experience with these kind of tools. So what we want to say is to use all the tools at your disposal, and thank you for joining us today. Victor, do you want to add something here in the summary before I take just one slide about GetAccept that I almost missed?
No, I think you've covered it all brilliantly. I mean, once again, what the fear of digitalization is the fact that you need more tools that are specific to certain processes, you know, and this is where working with an integration like this really helps you in the long run, because it minimizes the time needed for training and for upkeep of actually keeping everyone in line.
I agree. Thank you for that, Victor. And yes, some short numbers about GetAccept. We are among 100 employees today. We were founded 2015, and we have more or less 2,600 customers. We have offices in different cities. We have a headquarters in San Francisco, and myself sitting in Stockholm, having a lot of colleagues in Sweden, in Malmö, and also, of course, in Oslo, Norway, Marseille in France, and Aarhus in Denmark. And thank you all for staying with us so long today, and have a great rest of the day.
Yeah,
you too, Victor.
And looking forward to hearing from you in the future.
Yeah, likewise.